just got to watch the series finale of what has been, over the course of the last couple years, one of my favorite shows on television. A show that I've grown to really enjoy, as it sort of captured the older flair of television, being the sort of show that you could watch with a family. It's just very digestible. It's very sort of old TV style. It's the mom and pop show. Yes, I'm talking about Yellowstone, that amazing Western TV show produced by Taylor Sheridan, who's just a workaholic. He has like 50 TV shows, starring Kevin Costner, a bunch of other wonderful people, about the Dutton family, this family that owns this amazing ranch in Montana. And the whole point of the show is they're protecting the land from people that want to take it. If you haven't watched Yellowstone, go check it out. Now, of course, Yellowstone just wrapped up the series finale, and this is going to be my review for it, so if you have not watched it, maybe click away, because I am going to be spoiling some stuff. And as you read by the title, I thought it was kind of bad. I did not love the finale here. In fact, the whole final season of Yellowstone I thought was a little bit of a mess. Now, obviously, the final season of Yellowstone was going to be a mess from the start because of the whole Kevin Costner situation. Of course, Kevin Costner had decided to leave the show. Not only leave the show, but leave in the middle of a storyline. The last episode before he had left was setting up a pretty big confrontation and a pretty big storyline between him and his adopted son, Jamie. There was going to be an epic conclusion to their story here. Now, with Kevin Costner leaving the show, that storyline just had to sort of end in the middle. And the way that they handled this situation is by killing off John Dutton, sort of off-screen at the beginning of this season. Which I guess they really didn't have any other choice. That's just what they had to do. And because of that, Taylor Sheridan was kind of handed a shit pie and had to make something out of the mess that he had. So the storyline of this 6 episodes is pretty much the Dutton family that are left, aka Beth and Casey and Rip and all these people, trying to save the ranch while simultaneously planning this war against Jamie, this adopted son who sort of was involved in his father's death. Now, throughout this show, what has really worked about Yellowstone has been a few different things. One is the vibes. This show is sort of a Western fun show about this really ragtag group of characters interacting with each other. There's a lot of just vibe stuff going on here with the ranch and the cowboys and the comedy and the dialogue and some of the funny stuff that happens. But also the serious stuff and the violence and all the other terrible things that surround the ranch. It all just kind of mixed to create a vibe that is hard to explain in words, but if you watch the show, you get it. Another thing that's really worked is its great characters. This show has always been well written and characterized well. Casey being the son that doesn't really want anything to do with the ranch, but continues to get pulled in. John Dutton being this protective patriarch of this land will literally fight and destroy anything to keep his ranch. He will manipulate and use his own children to get it. He truly is Logan Roy. He's sort of in the Wild West in a way. You have Beth, who is loyal to almost a fault to her father, will literally do anything for him. She doesn't really give a shit about the ranch, but she's this tough son of a gun. And then you have Jamie, who's kind of the prodigal son, this adopted son who feels like his whole life he's been used as a puppet of his father, and now he's sort of broken out, and he's trying to do his own thing, and he's sort of become a villain in his own way. And Jamie has always been, at least from my perspective, a sympathetic sort of villain, this person who, because of the way his father treated him, had become sort of this monster of his own father's making. And because of that, there was an interesting story to tell with John Dutton and Jamie, but when John Dutton gone, Jamie's just kind of there. And that's really my problem with this season, is how they wrapped up that story and the story with these kids. So lo and behold, the kids figure out that they're not going to be able to afford the ranch. They're not going to be able to keep the ranch going on their own, so they decide to sell it for a very cheap price to the Native American group that were planning on buying this land literally from the start of the show. They make a deal, hey, we'll sell you the land, but you just can't build anything on it, and Casey gets to live with his family on this little side of the ranch. And with the ranch settled and everything finished off, Beth goes to finish the one last job. She made a promise to kill Jamie, essentially, and a bunch of other stuff happened this season, but the whole crux of the series finale, she goes, and yeah, through a bunch of setups and some other stuff, she kills Jamie. He's dead. And that's it. And then the show just kind of ends with all the characters going their separate way, and I felt like this series finale sort of lost the strong characterization and the character work that it was sort of known for. Now, yes, this show could be very melodramatic, and some of that melodrama is what makes the show sort of so charming in a way, because it takes itself super seriously, especially with Beth's character, who is just so over the top at times that you can't take it seriously. But with the character of Jamie, it felt like they were setting up something more complex. It was by far the most complex character and relationship on this show. This character that almost you have to hate him, but at the same time, you really look at his life and what had happened to him and the mistakes he's made and how he's been treated, and you almost kind of empathize there. And as you watch his fall and fall and fall, you're almost waiting for there to be this moment of realization for the characters around them, where the characters almost have to reach out to him and bring bring him back and realize how bad everyone's been in this situation. There was such a strong opportunity there to tell a very complex character narrative, and maybe that's what they were setting up, but at the end of it, it's just, nope, Jaime's a dick, and they kill him, and nobody seems to feel bad about it. And I understand Beth had always hated Jaime, and she has no problem killing him, but Casey and Rip, now I understand they believe that Jaime was responsible for their father's death, for John Dutton's death, but at the same time, this is a guy they grew up with. They spent their whole life with Jaime. They've known this dude forever, and he dies, Beth kills him, and you don't even get a reaction from Casey. You get nothing, and it feels like such an empty, wasted moment of this show that the show has been building up towards since its literal inception. It almost feels like character assassination in a metaphorical sense, not just a literal sense. It felt so wasted, and it almost ruined the entire show for me. If the end goal was always for Jaime to be killed, like, that's fine, but there needed to be more. There could be so much more depth with these characters in that situation that there wasn't any of. It just seemed like the characters, the main characters, Beth and Rip and everybody getting their way, and they win, and it's a happy ending, and everybody lives on their own ranches, and Jaime, the evil bad brother who had no, apparently no sort of sympathizing factors to him, just gets killed off, and John Dutton's dead, and he was the perfect father. Definitely nothing more complex or morally questionable about him. Just a perfect man. Like, it just felt so kind of dirty in a way. The finale also had a bunch of weird sequences. It has a very long, drawn-out musical section where somebody's just singing for like 3 minutes. It was weird. I just don't think everybody's arcs got tied into like a nicely needed knot. This whole last season, it felt rushed, which obviously was always going to feel with the absence of Kevin Costner, and it felt like it was thrown together really fast. And like, I understand and I empathize with Taylor Sheridan and the people here. They obviously had a tall task. They probably had an entire season of television written that included John Dutton, and who knows what that would have looked like. It probably would have been amazing, and obviously we're never going to get that, and we didn't get that. So they had to find another way to bring this to a close, to land this plane, and I'm just very disappointed by it. Now, of course, the Yellowstone universe is not done. There's going to be more spin-off shows with apparently Jeff Bridges and Michelle Pfeiffer, and yeah, all these characters are going to come back one way or another eventually, and, I don't know if I'm going to be that interested. Because this show did have me hooked. It had me really engaged for a long time, but I just feel really let down by the ending of this, because they spent so many seasons getting me hooked into the characters and the well-written arcs that these characters were going on, and I feel like the series finale just pretty much said, well, a lot of those arcs, they don't really matter that much. Because everything is one-noted, bad characters are just bad, and good characters are just good, and there's no sort of gray area with any of this stuff. There's no past, there's no fleshing out relationships over a long-term period, just none of it really matters. That bummed me out. It made me sad, because I love Yellowstone. So I'm going to give the final season of Yellowstone a 2 out of 5. I was just really bummed out by this one, and I wish it could have been better. Screw you, Kevin Costner, for going to make those terrible Horizon movies that were not very good. I love you, Kevin, but those movies did suck. Movie. The second one didn't even come out. Will it come out? Probably not. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more Twitter notifications. I'll see you in the next one.